Hi everyone, my name is Krista Sonia and I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions for SYA Abroad. Thank you for watching this Q&A video with some of our alums. As most of you are aware, this year's students are back home in the US and are continuing their journey with SYA through online learning. Obviously, this circumstance is highly unusual, but to give you a better idea of what spending a year abroad is like, we invited last year's alums to share their experiences with you. So could you both introduce yourselves, tell us what grade you were in when you attended SYA, and where you were from?
Yeah, so my name's Sophie Small. I did SYA Italy last year and as a junior, so I'm now a senior in high school at Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
My name's Will Tallheimer. I did SYA last year along with Sophie as a junior, and I'm now a senior at Collegiate School in Richmond, Virginia.
Great. Thank you both for being here today to talk with our incoming students about your experiences. So to get started, could you both just talk about your decision to study abroad in high school and how did you decide to attend SYA?
Yeah, I can talk first. So I have always really wanted to study abroad. I thought that that would be something I would do in college. I didn't even know that this was even like a possibility. And my school is a member school of SYA, so they came and they had done the SYA presentations every year, and I'd always kind of thought in the back of the mind like that's kind of crazy, like who would do that? And then my sophomore year, when I was listening to it, I was like, wait, why am I not doing this? Like this is insane. Like that these people, like these 16-year-olds can go and have that experience. And so it was really a no-brainer for me. My parents both studied abroad in college, so they understood what that experience meant, and that if I could have that at an early age, then the better. And yeah, it was pretty easy. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. So
For me, it was a little bit different because my school was not partnered with Collegiate at the time, um, and it was their first time presenting in front of Collegiate School, and for me, it was a no-brainer as well because I had been at Collegiate all my life, and it's a very small school. It's very hard to just, stay there the entire high school career. So thought I'd make the jump and see what happened, and it was best decision of my life.
That's great. So you made the decision and you went, and it's going to be so great now to hear more about the experiences that you had while you were there. So to kind of start off, a lot of our incoming students have a lot of questions about what the classes are like. So what were your SYA classes like, and which one was your favorite?
I'll go first for this one. My my favorite class was definitely agroecology, which was our science class. It was our course, and it was taught by Miss Scanlon and Mr. Scanlon, who are the head of school and the science teacher. And it was all about the science of foods. And so we were very lucky and able to in the city we lived in, Viterbo, and being able to go outside of the classroom and go to our garden where we actually grew and worked with plants, which was really fun.
yeah, so I also was in I also global citizenship in the 21st century with Professor Gotti, who is just an incredible guy, really, and an amazing teacher. Basically, the class focuses on like all the problems in the world today, and we start like on a local scale, so things that Viterbo, the town, is dealing with, and then kind of branch that out farther and what Italy from the EU. So it's a really interesting class. You do a lot of work with like refugees. You do a lot of work with like global policy. We also talked about like sustainability and the efforts that uh, Italy was doing as a country. And there's also a lot of travel opportunities in that class. You can apply to go to the MUN conference in Rome, which is in March. There's also a trip to Luxembourg, where you can go to the GIN conference, which is the Global Issues Network. And you can present a project that you've been working on within the class on some sort of social issue, which I had the opportunity to do. Luxembourg is an incredible city. It was really, really cool conference. You meet people from all over the world. And you really can see young people coming together that want to make a difference and have really creative solutions. So it's an incredible class, and there's nothing like it else in the world. So if you have the opportunity, I highly recommend it. I also would mention that the language classes, everyone takes Italian, and you're put into 3 different levels of Italian, but if you want, you can also take Greek or Latin. I was taking Latin at my home school, and so that was something I wanted to continue. There was 5, and then there ended up being 4 at the end of the year, students in Latin, and the professor is super funny, a great teacher, and it's just a super fun class, and it's the best country to learn Latin in. So we walk outside and do like little exercises like in the town on like the inscriptions on like plaques all over the town that we got to translate, which was pretty cool.
That's great. I think that you both are already talking about it a little bit, but could you tell us more about what during your time with SYA?
Sure. So for us, we had every Wednesday was our field work day, where we would go outside of the classroom and work with our culture and meet new people, go to other cities. I remember my favorite one, just as an example, was our first one. We walked into school on the first Wednesday, and the head of school handed all of us a piece of paper and then kicked us out of the school. And we all had to find the city that was on the piece of paper, go there, and do some research about the city, which was incredible because I know at that time I had no idea about I didn't know anything about public transportation. I didn't know how to get myself without like grown adults from point A to point B, and with a group of other students. So you have to like stay in line. And so that was definitely the best experience. I went to a city called Monte Fiascone, which is on the top of this mountain near Viterbo, and we took the bus there, and we spent about 3 or 4 hours there just exploring, and then we came back. And it was really incredible. I know one of the groups that did that same thing, they went to, I don't remember which city it was, but they were going to a certain city, and on their bus ride back, they ended up going to the beach. Because
That was my group.
Yeah. You can go ahead and explain that if you want. Or
yeah, I mean, it was actually an incredible day, I think, for everyone in the program, because that was kind of the first time that we got to go out of Viterbo. And we didn't know any Italian. It was like the second week we had gone to Italy, and we made it there. Thought we were like pros at like public transportation at that point, no problem. Whereas we're heading back to the bus station, we get on the bus, we're all kind of tired. So we're like, half of us are asleep. We're just chilling. And like 45 minutes later, we like look at the side and there's like the ocean. I was like, wait, that's not right. Because Viterbo is not on the water. And we realized that we had gone like from the opposite way. And we like called the director and we're like, what do we do? Like, we really messed up. And he just was laughing, and he was just kind of like, you figure it out. Like, this is all part of the journey. Like, this is what SYA is all about. And we met like a group of Italian students who like helped us figure everything out. And we actually had a really amazing day. But that's kind of SYA in a sentence. You never really know what to expect. Every day is an adventure, and you just kind of you learn as you go with it. And yeah, it was a great day.
Nice.
Sophie, do you want to start, or do you want?
You got it.
Okay. So the capstone project was at the end of the year, it replaced exams. So what we would do is we'd spend a month and a half around and do research on a the best way to describe it is like a passion project. So you study a topic that you're interested in and that directly relates with our city or our country. And so for an example, I did I studied astronomy and the history of astronomy, and we were all set to do certain papers along with interviewing other Italians. So we would go travel around Italy and interview people that studied that subject or that were professionals in that subject, whatever you were studying. And then at the end, you present in front of a group of students. I wouldn't say it's the whole school because it's split up into different classrooms, but you present in front of a group of people in Italian for 5 minutes about your topic. And it was really fun.
Yeah, I did my project. I was super interested on the Libyan refugee crisis and how like that was impacting Italy. And so my project was kind of 3 parts. So I focused on like the history between the 2 countries and their relations, and then I also looked at the current civil war in Libya through a humanitarian lens. And specifically like how refugees coming to Italy were impacting the country and like where they were coming. And which was really cool because on a school trip to Sicily, we actually got to go and talk to people who had recently come off the boats, and, you know, see like how like they were being integrated into the country. And then I also had a political lens and talked about like the laws set between the 2 countries and their relations, and what Italy was doing to help aid Libya. And I got to talk to like a couple of people in the government, which was super, super cool. During capstone, you can travel when you plan like trips if you want to go like meet with a professor or some sort of political figure or really whoever could help you with your project. So we went to Rome, and you can go wherever, but Rome and Florence were the main places that people went for their projects.
Awesome. So on top of all of these new classes and projects that you're working on, you are also just transitioning to a completely new city to live in. So could you talk about what were your first few days like in Viterbo?
I'll go ahead. That transition was uh, like a mix of both worlds because it was incredible because you were in the honeymoon phase of just being in Italy and being with these new people that you've never met before, and just like you're just all cylinders are rolling, like you're just noticing all these new things, and that's like the incredible part. And then there's the part where not for me it was a little bit easier because I was ready to be there but some people were a little uncomfortable, which I think is like the best thing you can be, because it teaches you like about who you are as a person. And that those first weeks were intense because we were with our host families and their friends, as opposed to being all together as students and just like hanging out all together. We were all separated, and we got to really experience I think those first 2 weeks were like the most I've experienced in Italian culture. Like it was just so focused on the family experience, and it was really fun. And we also had those first 2 weeks were the festival of Santa Rosa, which is the saint of the city, which everyone will learn about. Everyone that's watching this will learn about. Um, and I don't know, it was so much fun celebrating with them and still being like, oh my gosh, I'm living in Italy for a year. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, the best way to describe it is it's kind of you just kind of got to throw yourself into the deep end. I didn't know any Italian. I knew like ciao before I left, and so I really had no idea what anyone was saying right when we got there. But you know, you could just kind of gotta roll with it and know that like everything like calms down and everything works itself out. There is kind of an awkward transition the time when you get there before you start school. Like also there's the festival that happens, but really it's just a time to get settled in. It can feel very overwhelming at the time. But the reason why your host families are host families is because they want you in their home, and they want to get to know you. And so just being as open as you can right off the bat with them was really helpful for me. I had a sister who was my age, so I met like all of her friends during the first 2 weeks, and that really helped me just kind of get integrated into life in a small town in Italy. But yeah.
Yeah, what was it like living with a host family? And in your first few weeks there, how did you talk with them? How did you communicate?
Um, it was pretty crazy because I was lucky enough to have an incredible family who had hosted for a very long time, and they had been doing this process for a while, so they were kind of used to it. And when I first met them, I was like standoffish a little bit. I didn't really know what to do because, like you said, I mean, I didn't know any Italian, so I didn't know what to say. But my host mom walked up to me and just started speaking as much English as she could, and it like threw me off guard because I just wasn't expecting it. So the first 2 days were probably the hardest because I knew that I didn't want my host family to speak English to me because the whole point is that I'm supposed to be uncomfortable and then learn. But it really did help just knowing that they're there for you. And everyone hears that and all the time, and sometimes it just kind of goes over their head. But once you meet the family that you have been assigned with, it's just like a match made in heaven. Like I wouldn't want any other host family. And they made it a lot easier. You just gotta like be there for them because they're there for you.
Yeah, like right when you the first thing you do once you get to Viterbo is there's like a ceremony where you meet your host family. I won't like spoil what happens at the ceremony, but it's super funny, and it's really just kind of like the ceremony of you like coming home to your new family, which is really something special. And yeah, I'm the same thing with Will. I didn't know any Italian, so there's a lot of like hand gestures, like this is how I would shower or like brush my teeth, which was actually pretty funny. I think like everyone understands at the beginning it's going to be uncomfortable, so just kind of making light of everything and doing your best to find humor, and it helped me a lot. And you learn, especially once you start school, everything, and you settle into routine, life starts to get a little bit more calm and easier. But definitely in those first weeks, just trying to experience as much as you can without getting overwhelmed is the best thing you can do.
Awesome. In addition to connecting with your host family, how did you connect with other people in Viterbo or make friends or connect with your SYA classmates even? What was your experience like in that regard?
Well, for the SY students, it was definitely the easiest part because, at least for me, because at the time there were only 7 guys. So that made a quick connection, which was nice. Just something to start us off. All the guys became very close. And then as we kind of got comfortable with each other, we started spreading out and reaching out towards everyone else. And I was thinking about it before I got on this call, and I realized that like there really weren't friend groups like there are at least in Richmond. There are a bunch of friend groups, but there you are all one community because you're all going through the same struggles and like and not even just struggles, but just you all are going through the same process, and it's really easy to connect with each other. But for school, I know I made a couple really good Italian friends on the soccer team, and I know one of them is going to be coming to visit Chicago soon, so maybe I'll go over there and meet up with him. But um, I also met a lot through my host family, just having dinners with my host family, with other families and other students. And later on in the year, you'll be able to go to an actual Italian high school and spend a week or two there. And that's where I made a lot of really good connections. But that's where the majority of my Italian friends came from.
Yeah, SYA, especially in Italy, it's a very small cohort, which is 100% a positive thing in my opinion. It makes you just kind of like one big family, and you it's just you guys for the year, and you really rely on each other and depend on each other right off the bat, and you establish really close bonds that will remain for you for the rest of your life. So if you're worried about making friends, don't worry, because everyone there wants to be your friend, and it will happen, and it works out really, really well. And in terms of Italian students, I think we'll talk about, you do have the opportunity to spend 2 weeks shadowing Italian schools. And that's a really great way to not only like help you continue learning Italian, but also just making new connections within the town. I have 2 of them that just texted me on my birthday. Just like, that's so crazy that like, they remember that a year later that you make.
Definitely.
So shifting gears a little bit to kind of what your daily life was like in Italy, where were your favorite places to hang out?
I think I can speak for Sophie as well. There was this cafe called Scanardi, which was right on my walk to school, which was perfect. And it's just this beautiful cafe where we would spend time either in the morning before fieldwork day or after school. We would do homework there. The people that work there are incredible. They're so kind. That was definitely one of my number ones. And then it's a kebab stand, which is quite funny, but all of the guys really came together and would go there like it was Chipotle. Like, it was just such incredible food. And that was whenever we'd want to meet up on the weekends, we'd just go there and have a great time and then go out to the park. The park was definitely the best hangout spot by far. And I'm sure this year would also agree with that from seeing the pictures they posted and the videos they posted.
Well, kind of said it all.
Is there anything you want to add, Sophie? Or
I mean, the park is super fun, especially when the weather is warm. You can have like picnics with your friends. We did that most weekends when it was nice out. Just like walking around the town. Some days we would just kind of like wander around. We found like new parts whenever we go out. We found like a church one day, and I'm not sure if it was closed or not, but it was open. And we just kind of like went in and went exploring. So that was kind of like my favorite part, was just kind of seeing where the day leads you.
what were some other activities or extracurriculars that you participated in?
I know, well, so like I said, I joined the soccer team along with a group of SYA students. We played with an Italian indoor team, and it was quite interesting because the coach of the team was my host uncle, so that was really fun. I know a lot of people did join the gym. There's a lot of gym memberships that people joined, and yeah, I mean, that's it for me.
I did a cooking class that was taught by one of the host moms. It's like a 6-week course, and you kind of go through all the parts of Italy. So you start in the North region and you travel all the way down to Sicily, like cooking different meals, which is super fun. I'm probably the worst cook in the world. You can ask Will, I'm really bad. So that was super fun for me, just kind of learning how to cook even if it was the simplest of things. That was a ton of fun.
What was your favorite food that you made? Or Will, what was your favorite food that you tried?
Well, I also did I did a cooking class, but it was a separate cooking class. But definitely my favorite Italian food was cacio e pepe, which is a traditional Roman meal. It's a pasta, and it's with a thick white sauce. It's really good.
For me, one of my best friends during the program, Isa, her host dad would have make like this like pasta al ragu every Sunday, and that was like the best week. We would show up every Sunday, and it became our little tradition. I can't even describe it. Like, I just want it so bad. It's so good. It's so good.
Every meal with the host family is
every meal with host families.
Awesome. So how was traveling in Italy, and what trips did you go on, or places did you visit while you were with SYA?
Sophie, you can take the lead on this.
Well, Will and I did every travel together basically. So during SYA, you can go on independent travel for the weekend with your friends. You just need to fill out like a form before you go, saying like where you're gonna stay and how you're gonna get there. And you can basically go anywhere in the country. We went to all parts of the country. We went to Venice for Carnival. We went to the Alps. We went to go skiing one weekend in the winter, which was super fun right before Christmas. So, like all the lights were up in the little ski town. We also went to a little town on the border, which was beautiful. It was called Trieste. We also went to Capri, which is an island in the south, for a weekend when the weather was warm. So yeah, there's so many places to travel to in Italy. You'll never get bored. There's all amazing cities, but there's also some really cool smaller towns that I would recommend. Trieste is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Well, Sophie basically said it all.
Sorry.
But no, but I mean, we did travel together most of the time. You usually travel with like a group of your friends, one of your friends, but also winter break, your family can come and you can hang out with them and travel around with them. That is one of the times where you can leave the country. I chose not to. I stayed with my family, and they came to Viterbo, and then we went to Florence, Bologna, all the big cities, so that they could get the experience. And it was fun. It was definitely fun. But by the end of the break, I was with my host family, which was kind of funny to think about. Just like, okay, this is my country. Goodbye. But yeah. So like I was saying, winter break and spring break are the two times you're allowed to leave the country, and um, I think people think of that and kind of just toss Italy aside because it's like your one chance. But there are a lot of places that you can go in Italy that are foreign to you. I mean, even if you've been there like a year, there's still places there that just can blow your mind. But definitely take advantage of all the trips you can take, because it's one of the easiest places to travel right now. So um, and there's a lot of lessons with it as well.
So now that you've had all these adventures and travels, how do you think that studying abroad in high school has impacted you?
Oh God. I think you learn so much independence. Like that's something that, you know, it just happens gradually over the year on like a day-to-day basis. But even just leaving your homes in America, and going to live in a new country with a family you don't know and the language you don't speak, it takes a lot of courage, and independence that comes with it, but there's also a lot of responsibility. So I think you really have to mature in the program, to be able to, have that trust, from your instructors that, when you do like want to go away for the weekend, that they trust you enough to be responsible, and it really helps you manage your own life. Like when I got back, I just knew like as a person I was so much more like independent, and I like the things that I used to like not like want to do, I like by myself, I like felt like a lot more comfortable doing, and it makes you a lot more organized with your school, just because the school system is very, it's a lot of self accountability, so it's kind of up to you to keep on task with everything, especially if you're traveling over the weekend, like prioritizing when you're going to do your homework and everything. It makes you a better student. It makes you a better traveler, and it just makes you a better person, I think. So
Definitely, I completely agree with that. And also with that independence, I think, at least for me, my confidence definitely boosted in general, just my own self-confidence and what I can do. And I don't know, it was just such a strange thing to see change over the year. And then when I came back to America, I really noticed how much I grew, like mature, like I was able to mature and become like really independent, because I just remember going from middle school to high school thinking I've gained so much independence, but that one junior year really taught me what being like alone and being independent really is, and like the reasons for maturity. I don't know. It was just interesting to see the change.
Yeah, I would also say that um, it takes a lot of courage not only to go to Italy, but the readjustment process back home is something that is really difficult, especially because you've went off and had this amazing experience throughout the year, but you're coming back into your old life, and where everything else has basically stayed the same. And it's a very independent process, adjusting home and reintegrating yourself, but that also really builds your independence and just kind of um, it's a very internal process, but it helps you really grow and think about who you want to be as a person.
So you both said that you are seniors now. So how do you think that SYA is connecting to your college process? Are you mentioning it in your applications or talking about it in interviews?
I definitely used it in all ways possible. I know I wrote my personal essay for all of my colleges I applied to. I used a story from SYA, and I I just think it shows like that this person is, like we were saying earlier, really independent, and they're willing to take a risk, and that it's something that stands out. I believe it is something that stands out on a college, um, for colleges, and it definitely helped me. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sets you apart so much. Just think about like how many people can say that they've already studied abroad in high school. Like that's just such a unique and incredible opportunity. And so if you have it, definitely take advantage of it, if you can. And yeah, I talked about SYA in all of my applications as well. It's a huge thing, and to go abroad for 9 months, it's almost you have to talk about it. And it really did change a lot of my perspectives and how I look at things, and just going to a new country and like hearing and listening about their beliefs and their opinions, it gives you more of a global perspective on life in general, and the world around you. So it makes you more of a world citizen, and that really appeals to colleges.
I just have a couple of final questions for you both. So what is your favorite thing to tell people about your experience with SYA?
Oh gosh, Sophie, you go ahead. I got to think about this one.
Oh, it's hard. I mean, it's a whole year, so every moment is precious. And for me, I don't think that there was just like one defining moment for me at SYA, but I think just waking up every day, like in your host family's house in Italy, and knowing that like every day is an adventure at SYA, no matter what happens. Every day is unique and every day is really special. And I don't, this is super cheesy, but they always say like, don't count the days, make the days count. But that like so much applies to SYA, and it's really about like learning to live in the moment. So I don't have like one story or one experience, but just it's all of the little things for me. Like I remember when I got home, I would miss like the cobblestone streets on Via Cavour, or like I would miss the gelato at La Antica. I like it's the little things that you don't think you're gonna miss, but actually make a difference and think and change the way you think about it. So
Definitely. No, I unfortunately I agree with her. I don't really have one example, but I think the thing that's I've been thinking about the most currently or most recently is our walks home from school or wherever we were after school. Everyone lives in different directions. Some of us live inside of the walled-in city, and others live outside of the wall. I was lucky enough to live inside the wall, but um, I would walk with a group of my friends, and we would always just reflect on the day, which was at the time, something that I didn't really think about, but while I've been in America, I've realized how important that was for my life, just being able to reflect on the day and what happened, because like she said, every day in SYA was an adventure. And if you don't think about what happened that day, it kind of just goes by. And and I don't, nobody wants that to happen. Anybody that's been through SYA can tell you, like, they don't want to forget any moment of it.
Great. So my last question for both of you is, what advice would you give to new SYA students getting ready for their year in Italy?
Well, if people are still deciding, I would say my biggest advice is go. It's a terrifying thing just to agree to this, but I cannot express like how much it's worth it. And like Will and I like can both say that it was the best year of our lives, and it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. So if you have the opportunity, like absolutely 100% go. All of the little things that like you think would hold you back from going, really, like it will be worth it to go. Like I was really worried about like college and like the sports I was doing back home, and like leaving my friends and family, and like if the coursework would be challenging enough to colleges, but like it helps you so much with college, and you make the most incredible friends there that will last you forever, most incredible people. Like it's just an unbelievable experience. There's nothing like it in the world, and if you have the opportunity to go, 100% go. Enjoy every moment of it, because you only have 1 year while you're there, and it goes by really fast. We got home in May, but I feel like it was so long ago, just because it just all happens in a flash. So enjoy every moment of it, and don't let anything hold you back. And Italian is, especially if you don't know Italian, it's definitely intimidating at first, but you're in Italy, everything's in Italian, so you're completely immersed in it, and you'll pick it up fast, and you'll be very, very glad you know another language at the end of the year.
My advice would definitely be, um, just take a breath. When I know you're all going through the process of just applying and all of the steps, and it kind of gets in your head. I remember for me, the hardest part was just the end of the application, just like realizing that, like, once I finish this, like, I'm going. And just take it step by step, just like enjoy the process. And the most important thing of the process for me was definitely the host family application. I was brutally honest about myself, and because of that, I found the perfect host family, and that made my experience like 10 times better. Just having a supportive family that really just works for you. And it was just like, just that small part can affect your whole trip. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Will and Sophie, for sharing about your experiences with SYA Italy and answering all kinds of questions for our new students. And thank you everyone who's watching this video to learn more about SYA. If you want to see more about our program, definitely follow us on Instagram. And again, I'm Krista Sonia. I'm the SYA Italy Country Manager. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any further questions. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.